right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rick Godley here. We are at Lincoln Parish Library, streaming live, counting down with anticipation. 6:55 time-wise, 7 o'clock is the scheduled kickoff, if you will, for the Lincoln Parish Police Jury regular meeting. By the way, you can see a huge crowd. They're coming in. Still going to, it's kind of like the church mentality, too. They'll probably get 20 extra percent coming in after 10 minutes after the hour. However, I think everybody's interested in item 13. Item 13, the Ambulance Service Committee report. That is on the agenda here tonight, and we got a lot to go before we get there. And I'm going to keep this stream live and check out all the platforms because we're getting a lot of activity, interest, and that's a good thing for folks staying involved with government locally. And again, as mentioned, big crowd. Let me check this, atl-lincoln.com, atl-lincoln.com. We're also restreaming it. Worked up a partnership with the Lincoln Parish Journal. It's going to their Facebook. All right, we're good there. We're good there. And we're on YouTube. ATL-Ruston is the YouTube page. So looking good here on all the streams. Let's do a tutorial, if you will. I think we have a complete jury here this evening. District number 1, Teresa Wyatt. Number 2, Hazel Hunter. Number 3, Richard Duritz. 4, District 4, TJ Cranford. 5, Logan Hunt. 6, Glenn Scriber. He's here. Matt Pullen. 7, here. Skip Russell is here. That's District 8. District 9. Lucius McGee walks in the house. Man, I wish we had some popcorn to sell or hot chocolate. Joe Henderson, District number 9, is present. Where is 10? I'm looking on the map. Do you see it? Do I miss it? Oh, Milton there, right there. Below Joe, 10, he's here. Annette, check it, Sharon Mayfield, 11, present, and Annette Straughter is present. So this is kind of cool. It is 2 minutes.
No.
Yes, it is 2 minutes.
Will you listen to me?
I'm trying. All right, so we're all set. If it goes your way, everybody will be happy. If it doesn't go your way... Yeah.
It is amazing to watch a true artist at work.
Thank you. 5:28, check it, 6:58 and 30 seconds. Counting up we are to 7 o'clock. One more ring around. I think we're being streamed as well to the Lincoln Parish Journal Facebook page. Yep, partnering, keep everybody, all things local. Also want to thank American AVL because Mac Blake in the house. All mics are on. Oh, he's got it potted down. So everybody's got a microphone. The audio should work exceptionally well this evening. And once again, just to brief you, if you're just tuning in, the regular meeting, it's item 13 that folks obviously are interested in. So we got to get through 1 through 12, and we'll do that. And then we'll see what happens with item 13. 6:59. I think we should be getting ready to rick and roll. We do buddy ball, by the way, and we have the umpire that you typically says,
Play ball!
Play ball. We're going to have buddy ball Saturday. If you know somebody, a family that has a special needs child, they are welcome to come, not restricted to Lincoln Parish, anywhere in North Louisiana. Buddy ball with the smaller players, totally free. At 10, we're going to get started here. And I'll tell you more. BuddyBallRuston.com.
Call the meeting of Lincoln Parish Police Jury to order and ask Mr. Matt Pullen to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the many blessings you've given us. Thank you for bringing us here all safe so we can support our community. We ask that you please lay your hand on our heads and hearts as we make decisions for this community and parish. In your name I pray. Amen. Teaching, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight, and we'll start with the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next is the public comment period, and let me just kind of clarify the public. We'll have a comment period now for anything that's on the agenda. Anything that's not on the agenda that you would like to comment on, please fill out a application back there, and we'll pick them up at the end of the meeting to listen to your comments on that. We have some people that have already signed up for the beginning. Even if you didn't sign up, you can still comment during the comment period, which we'll start now. So we'll start, when you come up, please state your name when you start your comments. And the comment period will be limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Bill Jones, we'll start with you. Where are you? That's what we're fixing to do. That's what but some people signed up for that too. You know, but even if you didn't, you can.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not here to comment on the agenda. I'm here to comment on the ambulance rescue service.
Anything on the agenda, which is the ambulance service.
Okay. This is an important issue to everyone in Lincoln Parish. Now, Mr. Hunt has presented a very reasoned explanation and analysis of the situation. What I'm asking for the people of Lincoln Parish is, if you disagree with his analysis and conclusion, before you take a vote, please tell us in Lincoln Parish how you differ with that analysis and why you differ with it, and why you think voting no to the city is the better choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Darrell Johnson.
I don't have much to say. I'm just.
They're recording it. I'd like for you to be at the mic, please.
I'm a retired doctor here in Ruston. I like our medical facilities, and I like what we've got in Ruston, and I don't think we need to change it at this time. I don't think it would be the wisest thing to do. And there's any conditions of cost, I think those can be met. They usually are. So I'm in favor of keeping the city, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. George Parkman. Mr. Parkman.
I'll just follow what the doctor said. I'm in favor of what we have, and would like to see us stay with the program that we presently have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chris Carrigan, Moose.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good crowd today. It's getting better and better. So I come here for the ambulance. You know, a lot of people are going to vote probably no tonight, and we could probably pick those numbers pretty close, who's going to vote yes or no. But a couple things on the no's. Some people have some personal vendettas, which I think are wrong. Some people I've heard say, I don't want to give any money to the city. The city and the parish are not going anywhere. So if that's the way some of you feel, I mean, we got to work together. The city is booming. It's time for the parish to reciprocate some of the benefits that the city is doing. So let's work together. If that's the way some of you feel, maybe you don't need to be sitting in your seats. Another big deal is money. We don't have any money. Well, here's your opportunity in front of us. Very large crowds, live. Tell them you don't have any money. Hey guys, we don't have any money to pay for fire and EMS. Tell them. See how that goes over. That's your obligation to sitting at these seats, is to pay for fire and EMS for us. And like I think y'all get about $800, $900 a month. That's $10,000 a month times 12, $130,000. That's a good start. Y'all get y'all's money. What about for protecting my family, my children, my wife? That's an obligation you guys have. And I'm here to tell you that we are supporting Lincoln Parish Fire. We have been working behind the scenes for Lincoln Parish Fire. If you're voting no because you need Lincoln Parish Fire to get money, that's not a good reason. There's a million ways we can be getting money right now for Lincoln Parish Fire, for grants, for all kinds of different ways. We can get them millions of dollars today if we start working as a team to get Lincoln Parish Fire money. But in the last 8 months, has anybody done anything about that? I've heard all y'all say this money needs to go to the fire department. It needs to go to the fire department. Who here has done anything to try to get some money for the fire department? I know a couple of people have, because we've been working together to try to get that. Can you say you've done anything behind the scenes to get money for the fire department? But you're against giving the money to the Ruston Fire. But you need to give the money to the Lincoln Parish Fire. So I just think before anybody makes a vote tonight, let's think hard about our decisions, and let's make sure that whatever we do, we support our first responders day in and day out, because they're going to need it either way this goes. So thank y'all.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment? Okay, Mr. Elmore.
All right, Bruce brings the heat.
I had not planned on making a comment tonight. I made my comments to my police juror, Matt Pullen. And Logan, I want to thank you for your analysis and writing it up so people can read and think about it, talk about it. He used the number 3% cost increase. The CPI index, and we've already solved this one, for August of 21, August of 22, there are different indexes, but the CPI index, all urban, which includes everything, was 8.3%. So Logan used 3%, which is an average of the last 5 years. Okay. So I know, Matt, I'm not going to discuss what we talked about, but they've got us about halfway there to pay for it. I don't want to see a win and lose tonight. I want to see win-win, okay? We need to all work together. Chief Womack, I spent about 2 hours with him and Joe Martin the other day and looked at the equipment. It's impressive. And he and Chief Reynolds are working together. And if there's a tragic accident and the parish needs the city, Chief Womack says, I'm coming. He calls me, I'm going to help him. So I like that attitude, and I hope the police jury has that same attitude tonight to come to the right answer. The Ruston Fire Department is an outstanding group of men. They work hard. They're professional, and the parish does an outstanding job. So we need to get the parish going on rescue. I think that's maybe one of the solutions that might come up tonight. But let's make it a win-win deal tonight and not be us against them. And I appreciate the committee and everybody's work toward that end. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Everybody on the committee here know me.
State your name, will you?
Sir?
For the record, would you state your name?
My name is Gary Baldwin.
Okay.
All right, as far as the ambulance and rescue services, I was told a different thing about they would be cut out. I heard this gentleman talking about it. It's just that I have this to say. people that stand in Ruston, they have the opportunity of having the fire department ambulance service. We on the outside of Ruston, we have only what we can get. There is volunteer firemen that's on the outskirts of Ruston. A lot of times they don't get there as fast as they can. But we need that help. They need that help. The ambulance service, if anybody here on this board needed an ambulance to keep them living, ambulance will be right there where I stay. We called an ambulance. God bless my wife, she's been dead now for 4 years. I called the ambulance. It took them 45 minutes to get there. I did CPR, her brother did CPR. We need better services. People that want to do the work, even when they got her to the hospital. This young man, one of the ambulance workers, he was out there. Man, you seen how she fell out? That's a big old woman. I looked at him. I started to do something. I said, no. So this is why y'all are sitting here. For us out here. Y'all have the authority to make things happen. I don't hardly ever come, but I'm going to start coming back. Brother Melton asked me to continue to come. Brother Cranford and a lot more told me, you need to start coming back. I don't want to come with grudges. I'm not here to throw stones. I'm just asking for better help because we need it, black and white. We can't just look at one color and think that, well, they good. They aren't. Your house is way better than mine. I stay in a wooden shack. Don't look at my wooden shack and try to save your brick home. So all I'm saying is, as they've been saying, let's come together and work together instead of leaving us on the outside looking in.
My name is Bill Smith, and I would just like to ask on item 13, 14, and 15 if we could have a roll call vote.
Any other comments? I've got one more I'm holding to Glenn.
My name is Zach Yates. I don't know a whole lot about anything. I'm not here to say I do. I'm a barber in town. I own a business here inside the city limits. I live outside the city limits. So I have a want for both. But I think when you get down to it, you look at scenarios that you've been in when you make your decision or what you hope that happens. I had my son we were outside the city limits one day, and he is a 17-year-old boy who can break anything in any way possible. And he hit his knee on his trailer hitch and dislocated his kneecap and his patella. Laid on the ground. My son's 6'3", 230 pounds. He was with 3 other high school kids, and when he made the phone call, we're out. Is there any way else he can get him to the hospital? And 17, 18-year-old boy, there's a lot of miscommunication. There were some things that he didn't pick up right or whatever. But by the time somebody came and helped my son, he'd been on the ground for about an hour and 15 minutes. And 30, 45 minutes that I'm with him. And his kneecap's on the back of his legs and his tail is sticking out. I don't know what it takes or where the money needs to go or who needs to be upgraded, but if that was your son that's laying on the ground for an hour and 30 minutes, who or what entity that we have can be bettered to help that out? Because as a daddy, as I'm sitting there and the minutes go by, I feel like hours when your son's hollering and crying and, and you see the wound. who's the best? Who's going to get there the fastest for me? If I think my building in Ruston's on fire, I know how that's going to be handled. I really do. I have faith in Womack. I have faith in his Joe Dan Martin, and the guys that come around, my cousins, my family, they work for that department, and I know. But outside, right now, the city limits, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. I know what it did when it was my son. So as you think about it, you think about what's that going to look like. Is that the best situation that we have right now for us outside? And if it's your family, your kid, are you okay with what's going on? And if it's not, and you vote for the city and you vote for it, then what's our next step? How do we get the parish better? If we give it the money to the parish, how do we get the city better? I know when I look back real quickly, and when you look at how the schools were done, and you had a school that was doing well, and you had a school that was doing poor, we brought the poor school up to standard, right? First, before we made the one that was doing really well even better. So consider that, that thought, and just know that there's parents, and I'm a barber, and I talk to a lot of people that come through my shop and my business, and I've been blessed to have a big one, who that's their concern. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Mayor Walker.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tommy Woods. Retired firefighter for Ruston for 35 years. I talked to several jurors about the fire and rescue. I hadn't really talked to everybody, but my concern is I live in Grambling now, and Grambling is considered to be in the parish. And my 35 years of working here in Ruston, I've serviced people in the parish, and they need Ruston just like Ruston needs Lincoln Parish. And I think we need to continue to work together and make this work. Now, Ruston has the most experienced personnel to do the job that needs to be done because I work with them. I help build what we have. And Chief Womack and Eric Brazil and Ken Harris and many others who have gone on, Kip Franklin, they started this. I started in 1986, and I've been servicing the parish as an EMT, as an advanced EMT and a paramedic all these years. Even when I was an officer, I didn't go sit in my desk. I rode the ambulance just like everybody else did because when one ambulance was gone, we had 3 more there. And when people call for help, if you don't know what it feels like, keep living because it can happen to you. It may not have happened to you yet, but all the time when an ambulance comes, there's not a good outcome. There's not. We don't control that. Whenever God's called you home, you're going home. You can have 10 surgeons, you can have 10 ambulances. But the service that's been rendered by Ruston all the years that I've been with them, we've serviced the parish. We never turned anybody away because we didn't get paid. We continue to service those homes, and these homes, these residents, they were very appreciative of what we've done. We've been professional. We've been to all types of schools, rescue schools, paramedic school. We have 33 paramedics on the roster at Ruston right now. Whenever we send an ambulance into the parish, we send 3 people. Sometimes we send 4. Now, I was told that one person in the back can do the job by themselves. They can't do it. They can do the job, but they can't do the job that needs to be done because there's so many different things that need to be done. I've been in the back by myself as an EMT, and the driver was he was a first responder, and I was having to do all that work by myself. I was able to do what I could do to a certain extent. Then once we got them to the hospital, they were able to do more. But I think, and I'm asking the police jury as well as the city of Ruston, that we work together. We've been working together all these years. We work together to get the school board, get the schools where they need to be. It took citizens inside the city to help fund that. So we need to look at what we're doing. We've done well. Let's continue to do well. And we're going to disagree. That's just a party, just like family. We disagree about things, but we don't need to fall out behind it. But I'm hoping that we can settle this because, like I said, Ruston is the best service that we need for right now. I'm all for building up the parish. I'm good friends with Chief at the parish, Donnie Watson, as well as Chief Reynolds. Very good friends with him, Chief Price. But this is something that we need to fix, y'all. And we don't want nobody to have to wait on an ambulance for 35, 40 minutes. We don't. That's ridiculous. And Ruston is we have ambulances there 24/7, 365 days a week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? I'm gonna let the mayor be last. Y'all, okay, one more. I'm sorry.
My name is Erica Weller. I'm a resident of Lincoln Parish, and I would just like to implore you to vote yes for the city of Ruston. I agree with the analysis that Mr. Hunt did, and his reasonings behind that. And I can tell you firsthand experience that I watched my brother at 10 years old almost bleed to death because the parish could not decide. We were in Minden, and they could not decide to send one from Lincoln Parish or one from Bienville Parish. And I sat there as my mother held my brother dying in his bedroom, bleeding to death because they could not send his service, and they could not decide. And he almost lost his life that day, and I will never forget that. So I implore you to go with the decision that Mr. Hunt, as a parish resident who lives out in the middle of nowhere, to provide a service for their community that will get there as quick as possible with the best equipment as possible. I have ridden in an ambulance most recently this year all the way down to Baton Rouge, and I understand how important those services are to our community and to the individuals that need them. So I implore you to use the best analytical decisions, not based off of one side of the community or the other, but the one that will serve your community the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, Mayor.
Ronnie Walker, 600 Oak Park Circle. First, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I've been told that a comment that I made in the paper hurt some feelings on this board, and I want to publicly apologize for that right here. If I hurt anybody's feelings by making a comment, I apologize. I hope you accept those. This city and this parish are the envy of almost every parish in the state. I hear that all the time in Baton Rouge. It doesn't matter where I go. If it's Washington, D.C., I hear the same thing. Y'all have it really going in Ruston and Lincoln Parish. It's time that we put politics and personal feelings aside and do what's best for the citizens of this parish as far as public safety. It's time that we work together. We are willing to work together. The city of Ruston stands ready. We feel like we have, and y'all have, many of you have made that comment, that we have the best EMS service in the state. We believe that. We stand ready to serve the parish, the people of the parish. We want to work together with you. We are much stronger as a parish and a city working together, and I will pledge the support of our entire city council as we try to work with y'all and want to work with y'all to make this, to continue to be the best parish and the best city in the state. Thank you.
Okay, no more comments. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda is the minutes of the September 13th meeting. You have a copy of it? Your motion we approve?
I so move. Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Committee reports. Employee Recognition Committee, Ms. White.
The Employee Recognition Committee met today at 5 o'clock. The members of the committee are Glenn Scriber, Matt Pullen, Milton Melton, Sharon Mayfield, and Teresa Wyatt. We received a financial report, and it is important that you realize that this money does not come from your tax dollars. It comes from money we as jurors commit out of our paychecks so that we can have an appropriate time to recognize the good work that our employees do. The Christmas party date and location is December 15th, 2022. No, you're not invited. It's at 6:30, but wish us a good time. We decided that the committee, the office committee, did such a good job last year. We agreed that we would ask them to work as hard and do as well as they did last year, because we are very pleased with how it's done. I would like to report this information in the form of a motion.
Got a motion, I hear a second.
Second.
Second, any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Personnel Benefit Committee.
Personnel and Benefit Committee met at 6 o'clock. Mr. Pastel, would you bring the jury up on our meeting?
Yes, sir, I will. In just a moment to pull that information. Personnel Benefits Committee met at 6 o'clock tonight. As part of old business, the committee discussed revisions to the employee leave policy. Recommendation was made to bring to the full jury to accept the revisions that were presented to the leave policy. In new business, the committee recommends a reappointment of Mr. F.J. Armand to the Grady Ward 1 Waterworks District for a 5-year term through 2027. They also recommend appointing Mr. Rodney Demery to the Communications District as a representative from Grambling State University for a 3-year term. They also approved a new job description approval for a solid waste disposal operators levels 1, 2, and 3. In other business, the administrator went through the selection process for the personnel and payroll officer that will be coming up soon. And that completes the report of the Personnel and Benefits Committee. Mr. Chair?
I'd make that in the form of a motion, please.
Second that motion.
Motion made and second. Any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Insurance Committee, Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, the Insurance Committee met at 5:15 this afternoon, Tuesday, October the 11th. There were 2 items on the agenda. The insurance renewal for 2022 was presented by Randy Graham of the Lincoln Agency. Because of our loss ratio, our insurance premium for this next year is $328,000. And then secondly, Ernest Finch presented a group health insurance, and the group health insurance program is going to have an increase of 5% for the next year. Both of those items came up for motion. They both were approved, and I'd like to submit that as in the form of a motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Adopt ordinance of the sale of adjudicated property.
Yes, sir. And item 5 in your packets, this is the property that was introduced last month as part of the Lot Next Door program. This is the intersection of Oakdale Street and West Charlotte Avenue, Washington Heights subdivision. And the owners next door purchased this property, consideration of $1,692.85.
To approve.
I'll make the motion.
Motion
I'll second it.
made, say any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Adopt a resolution to participate in Operation Green Light.
Yes, so you'll see a resolution in your packet. This is a nationwide effort through the National Association of Counties to recognize and honor our veterans through the months of October and November. Basically, if you adopt this resolution, we'll be lighting up the courthouse in green and encouraging business owners in our community to do the same to recognize and honor veterans throughout our community.
I have a motion to
I'll
adopt
make
the
that
resolution.
motion.
Second.
Who second?
Matt, Mr. Pullen.
Pullen.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I would also know that there will be Devin has got a series of press releases and social media releases that we'll be putting out as part of this effort to the community.
Any other questions or comments?
What's the dates for this again?
Devin, do you remember the exact dates? I think from October through Veterans Day, November 11th.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Adopt the resolution requesting DOT to repair the right-hand westbound lanes of I-20 between Bienville Parish and Cranberry.
Amen.
May I speak to that? I visited with our senators and our representatives and their staff regarding this. If you're traveling on the interstate from Grambling to the Bienville Parish line, in many states, they keep that right lane in such good shape because traffic is encouraged to use that right lane. But in our case, that right lane is in terrible shape. And what we're trying to do is get the state of Louisiana Highway Department to re-asphalt just the outside lane on those two sections of highway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to make a motion that we
adopt the resolution.
Yeah, that the president sign that resolution.
Have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other comments regarding that or just go? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Approve the Ruston Lincoln Convention and Visitors Bureau 2023 proposed budget.
Item number 8 in your packet on page 25, you'll see the operating budget submitted by the Convention Visitors Bureau. And Ms. Carrier is here. If you have questions for her, I will point out, just because some of you have asked about this, that under expenses, about halfway down, you will see that we are being so generously given our $50,000 Lincoln Parish Park grant again this year. And
you want to comment?
I'll also mention that Ms. Carrier has been working with us. We have several grants that we are getting quotes for currently. She has encouraged us, along with Mr. Pullen, who serves as your representative on the CVB board, to apply for several of their grant funds that are available, and we're pulling those grant packages together. We'll be submitting those very soon.
Excellent. Yeah, I would like to point out that something that we've been really proud of this year is the use of those grant funds. We have had the opportunity to contribute to some really great projects that not only enhance the visitor experience, but they really add to the quality of life of our residents, which is a win-win for us and something that we are really proud of and will continue into 2023. I'll just point out a couple of line items here that might stand out to you if you'll take a look at that proposed budget. One is the website development and maintenance is up quite a bit. We will be trying to get a new website in the coming year, so that is to accommodate for that. Meeting and sports marketing, we bumped that up a little bit to try to accommodate for some new events for bidding and hospitality fees associated with the Ruston Sports Complex. We'll also, if you will go down to operating expenses under maintenance, you'll see that that is bumped up quite a bit as the needs of our building are expanding. And then research, if you'll go across from there, you'll see that that is also up as we will be entering into another 3-year strategic plan, so that amount is to accommodate for the planning of that.
Any questions? If not, I have a motion to approve the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Assist the city of Grambling with the overlaying of Central Avenue.
Yes, sir. You see item 9 in your packet is a request letter from the city of Grambling for overlay of Central Avenue. I've also included on the second page of item number 9 a copy of House Bill 592 from the legislature, visited with Representative Turner. Grambling State University this year received a $200,000 cash grant for overlay of Central Avenue. So I believe that money has already been allocated for that purpose. So it's going to be my recommendation that we do not grant this request at this time until we receive, additional information that that money has not been used for that purpose.
Isn't this like the second time that they've requested for Central Avenue, because it's that little street that runs through the campus there.
Yes, ma'am. And
it doesn't.
Mr. Durrett and myself, Mr. Melton, and the jurors from the Grambling area sat down and met with representatives over there and suggested that they get together on how they were going to approach the state to get those funds, and told them that we would go alongside with them to try to get that endorsement. Obviously, that's what the university did, and they did get those funds.
Any questions? Or do we need to vote?
We probably need a motion to deny the request, is probably what we need.
I'll make a motion that we deny the
Bob
request.
makes a motion.
I second.
Second, Ms. Hunter. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Adopt a resolution of the off-system bridge annual certification.
Yes, so this is just the annual resolution we have to do in order to participate in the off-system bridge program. This basically allows us to build up credits at some point that we will be able to get assistance with building a bridge with state funds. We do this every year.
So moved.
Second. Second. Any discussion or question?
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Not here.
Thank you.
Any question? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Boom.
Authorized piggyback purchase, City of Shreveport Freightliner M2 106 Peters TL3 Boom hard dump truck. Dump body.
This
Dump
is
body.
That's right. This is a boom truck. The City of Shreveport is just simply requesting to piggyback off of a recent bid that we've done. This is similar that we've done in the past with other agencies and that we've done with them.
Just for the benefit of the public, that just means we've bid it, they can utilize our bids and not have to bid it themselves. Right. Okay, you have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second. Any discussion, question? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Authorize the administrator to enter into a contract with Studio Brooks Emery for design services exterior of the courthouse and grounds.
Yes, sir. As we've had discussions about facilities planning, I sat down and met the other day with Ms. Hunter as chairman of the facilities committee. We've got Mike Walpole working on some planning for the interior of the courthouse. We're doing some interior study, some inside studies within our administrative offices as far as planning for other facilities that we currently have. But as we had conversations recently about the the Complex 2 building, the old county market building, the future of that building, what will happen when we finish the leases on that building, we're ready to take the building down. We need to have a plan going forward for what that space is going to look like, what it's going to be used for, and how it's going to work into the overall cohesive vision of the exterior of the courthouse and that entire 2-block area. That's beyond anything that we have the internal capabilities of doing. I've talked to Mr. Walpole about this. He would like to focus on the interior of the building. Brooks Emery, if you're not familiar with them, they're the ones that have done the architectural work out at med camps. These two are both architecture professors at Louisiana Tech. They've done a lot of the design work currently in downtown Ruston. They've done the Herd Freight Park, food truck park recently, as long as doing some other planning with some of our smaller municipalities. So I met with them. I think they have a lot of great ideas and vision, and I think they've given us a good idea of what their potential is for planning the vision of what that 2-block area can look at. And I think that $10,000 would be, a maximum of $10,000 would be a good investment in looking into that.
Any questions or discussion?
I'm just kind of confused as to why we would put another project on the table.
Well, this is not a project, Mr. Go ahead. Feel free.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, this is not a project. This is trying to get a picture of what we can do and how we can incorporate it into what we want to do long-term with everything that's going on.
I would like to have a picture of how are we going to pay for ambulance and rescue service for people in the parish? How can we legitimately say that we are looking for beautification in lieu of health and safety? To me, this is the most ridiculous idea in the world.
Thank you for that input. I appreciate that. Ms. Hunter?
Well, I think the same way. I think we should not look for beautification right now because we have enough on the table.
Okay, Ms. Hunter, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you the other day, then we had this conversation, and
Yes,
you
I
thought
know.
this was a good idea. Okay. Well, that's fine. Great.
That doesn't make Mr. Pastel.
Ma'am?
And maybe I'm saying too much, and I'm glad the crowd is here, because I need help in explaining that we're at a juncture where we don't have a penny that we could say is going to ambulance service. Logan Hunt did a wonderful job on his report, but I was left without information. I didn't know how he planned to pay for it. If we pick from this fund and this fund and this fund for beautification and other projects, we will never be able to come up with the money for ambulance and rescue. That's our main concern now.
Well, can I respond to that? Because I haven't had a single juror that has sat down with me and had a conversation about how we're going to fund this ambulance, nor this.
Exactly.
Okay, we're not to that item yet. Let's go back to the architect and address it to either.
Could we have a roll call on that so we'll know whose idea it was to put beautification?
We don't have a motion on the table. We got to have a motion before.
I can't do that?
You make a motion, yeah, anybody, we need a motion to either address it or.
I'll make a motion that we remove this item from consideration until we have effectively found a way to fund ambulance and rescue and health unit and what else we have on the table? Anything we got on the table? Get those off the table. Then we think about this. But first it was health unit. We don't know a whole lot about that. Now it's ambulance.
Wait, you're making a motion. Let's get the motion, and then you comment. So what is the motion?
The motion is that we remove this from consideration until we have found a way to pay for ambulance and rescue service and other projects.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Second. Yeah, all right, now any discussion? Anybody got any discussion?
I'll just make one comment, and I would just say that we are elected to solve problems, and we are elected to solve more than one problem at a time. I can easily support your motion to table this until further consideration, but I believe that the people in this room elected us to, each of us, to work together intentionally and effectively to solve many problems. And I believe that that is our duty to the citizens.
Would you agree they should be prioritized based upon health and safety?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
That,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So, could I recommend that you refer that to the Public Building Property Committee?
No, sir. I recommend that we remove it from consideration
Okay, all right.
until we do ambulance and rescue.
Okay. Any other comments on the motion?
I don't think we ought to kick it down the aisle.
Anybody, any more comments on the motion? Everybody understand the motion?
Mr. Dewey.
Yes.
Since we've started a meeting, how are we going to take it off since we didn't change it at the top?
I didn't understand.
We voted to
accept the agenda.
Oh, yeah, you're not taking it off the agenda. I think she's saying
Remove it from consideration.
future consideration.
For future consideration, until we have satisfied the citizens' need for ambulance, rescue, health unit, and any other health-related item we have on the table.
So,
satisfy those first.
Mr. Carpenter.
So is the motion we just table this? That's what the motion is that correct? We table it until.
Yeah.
That's what the motion is that correct?
That's an appropriate motion.
Yes.
Table it.
Tabling is an appropriate motion. I don't think we can just say, we're not going to consider it until we've dealt with everything else that's out there.
That's correct.
That's right.
Because there's no ending to that.
Yeah.
We can just say we're not going to authorize it now. We can say we're going to table it for the time being, but I would leave it at that.
So technically, Council, I think if she tables it, it'll be tabled until it's brought back before the.
Until it's back on the agenda.
That's right. So the motion, Ms. White, the motion is to table it.
My motion is to table it.
And I second.
Okay. Any other discussion or comments?
Smith.
If you table it, what if she's not on the jury here in 2 or 3 years?
The jury can bring back a tabled motion at any time, right, Council?
No, I think you can bring it back anytime.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments from the jurors? Okay, all in favor of tabling the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Next item is Ambulance Service Committee report. Mr. Edwards.
Good evening. My report is very simple tonight. At our last meeting, a motion was made. We took a vote, and the Ambulance Service Committee recommends that the police jury accept the proposal of the city of Ruston. That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Edwards?
Just for the public, what was the vote tally in the committee?
7 to 3, I think.
With any abstentions?
I think it was 7-3.
There was one abstention.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is discuss and take action if necessary regarding providing parish ambulance and rescue services.
You waiting on us?
Anybody got comments?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Ambulance Service Committee.
A second.
Wait, I thought we were going to discuss.
If we're going to discuss it, so we get a motion. You have a motion.
Second by Mr. Cranford.
Well, either way.
Mr. President,
Okay. Yes.
the ambulance recommended the city of Ruston, right?
That's correct. Yes.
They came up for 5 years.
That's correct. Right, Mr. Edwards?
Recommendation was that you accept the city's proposal, and the city's proposal to the committee was a 5-year deal. Right.
Can I make an amendment?
Yes.
Can I amend that
Yes.
that motion?
Mhm.
I'd like to amend that we accept the city of Ruston proposal with only 1 year.
Need a second.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Now,
Motion is made and second that we amend the original motion to include 1 year instead of 5. Is that correct?
1 year instead of 5.
the motion,
You come to the night.
Okay.
we need a vote on whether or not to allow the motion to be amended. This is not voting in favor of the amended motion. It's just
See what's going on.
vote to allow the amendment.
It's a 5-year.
Allow the amendment to be attached to the motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we can discuss it before we vote.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If the jury voted in favor of allowing for an amendment from 5 years to 1, wouldn't that have to go back to the city for approval, coming back to us in November?
Yes.
For a vote?
As I understand it, and I've been at all the ambulance committee meetings, The city made a proposal for a 5-year deal under the terms that I'm sure you've all seen. You can't accept a proposal from the city for 1 year because there is no proposal for 1 year.
Okay, any other jurors want to make a comment? Okay, Mayor, you wanted to comment? Did you want to comment? I thought you was raising your hand. Okay, any other any other comments on the amendment? We still have the amendment on the floor, right?
Yes, sir.
Keep it straight.
I would just remind this body that we had a 1-year option in front of us in July, is the option that we had. It was a 1-year option with the intention of having existing time in the ambulance service committee, and that motion, that 1-year option failed in this body in July.
Okay, any other comments on the amendment, right? A comment on the amendment, right?
Yes, sir.
If not, we'll vote on the amendment, and we'll do it by roll call.
You're not voting on the amendment. You're voting on whether or not to allow the amendment.
Okay.
So you can vote to allow the amendment, and then there's going to be a vote on the amendment.
Just so I have it clear, the vote to allow the amendment was made by, the motion to make the amendment was made by Mr. Henderson.
Seconded by Ms. White.
Thank you.
Isn't that right?
Okay.
So, what are we going to accomplish if we by voting on this?
The motion will then, the motion's going to be, I don't know how you will word it, you can't accept a 1-year deal that's not on the table. You could make a motion to offer the city a 1-year deal, but they're pretty clear as to what the answer is going to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
But, yeah, that you can't make a motion to accept a 1-year offer because there is not one. I mean,
just vote it down.
You can make the motion and vote on it, but you can't accept an offer that's not there. The city's not bound by that.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion before we vote?
So we are voting to,
We're simply voting on whether or not to allow the motion to be amended,
okay,
not on the merits of the amendment.
Okay. Any other discussion? We ready to vote? Okay. Roll call.
Oh, we need a roll call. Okay.
I would suggest, yeah.
Wyatt?
yes.
Hunter?
Yes.
Durrett?
Yes.
Cranford?
No.
Hunt?
No.
Scriber?
No.
Pullen?
No.
Russell?
No.
Henderson?
Yes.
Melton?
Yes.
Mayfield?
Yes.
Straughter?
No.
Tied. Motion
So the motion
fails.
fails.
Right. So we're back to the original motion.
Back to
Back
the
to the
original
original
motion.
motion. Now, discussion on, back to the original motion, which is on the table. We've already made the motion.
Is the
Yeah,
motion
already
made?
in discussion, yes.
It's confusing.
Huh?
It's confusing.
We'll be voting on the original motion, which was to accept the recommendation from the committee, right, Mr. Hunt? And that,
That was Mr. Hunt's motion.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Isn't that right?
We ready for comments?
Yeah, I want to make sure I had the motion corrected, as long as we were correct on the motion.
Mr. Hunt, your motion was to accept the committee's recommendation.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure, okay, yeah, we're ready for comment. Mr. Carter.
Since July, we have not been looked upon very favorably. We have been compared to kindergartners, 8th grade or junior high students. Take your choice. It's not a very good compliment either way you want to look at it. And is this bottle half full or half empty?
Depends upon
I
what's in it.
choose to say that it's half full. I'm an optimist. I can look around this table and look at every one of these jurors, and I can say something very positive about every one of them. And that's what I would choose to do. I'm not here to throw a stone. I'm not here to do that. We have a chance tonight to at least start to gain a little favor with the public on what the proposal is. That has been motion made, seconded, and we're fixing to vote on it. We have an opportunity to kind of correct some of this stuff. And you've seen it, you've looked at it. I originally was one of the ones that voted no on it, and I've shared my reasons for that. I saw everything that I needed to see, and it became clear to me. I visited with Chief Womack, with our mayor, with a lot of people that I had a lot of confidence in. And it just became ultimately clear that if we are elected to be a steward of the parish, of our constituents, yes, but we have to look at the big picture on what is best for Lincoln Parish. And not a single person has called me and saying, we do not need to go with the city of, not a single one. And I have had buckets full of people that talk to me about, you better take advantage of this opportunity. I think we are incredibly fortunate that we even got the city back to the table. I think we're, by the skin of our teeth, I think they were kind enough to give us another chance at this. And now we have a chance to show good favor and to show the general public that we're looking at this thing logically to make the best decision for Lincoln Parish. Personal decisions have got to be put aside. And so, like I said, I'm not going to throw a stone at any juror or any member. I'm not going to do it. I don't operate like that. I chose to look at the favorable side of every single person sitting around here. That's the way I operate. That's the way I'm going to continue to operate. But we have a chance to work together here. And probably the most important decision that, as a jury, that maybe they will make in this 4 years of this term here. So, without further ado, then that's all I got to say. But let's be smart about what we do. We pray every single meeting, and every single person that I hear pray asks for wisdom of what the decision that we're going to make. That's what we all ask for every single time. Do we really want it, or are we just uttering words, or do we want, wisdom to make good decisions? We got to think about this, folks. I'm telling you, we got an opportunity here to take a step. I'm totally convinced in the right direction with the city of Ruston. Thank you.
Mr. Henderson?
Yeah, I'm glad we're at this point where we can talk it out. I'm going to vote for it, but let me tell you why I'm going to vote for it. It's not what the paper said. It wasn't because of intimidating calls. I'm going to vote for it because the number said we don't have a choice. The number said we don't have a choice. Well, I prefer another choice other than $645,000, yeah. But the ambulance committee only brought us that one. I was trying to get us, but the number says we got to take the proposal because that's the only thing on the table. And I'm voting for it because numbers. The number said we got to take it. Not what the paper said, no intimidating calls among jurors or anyone else. I'm voting because I'm a numbers person, and the number said, here we are.
Mr. Russell, excuse me, Mr. Jarrett. Most of you know I'm a nurse. I've been in the medical field for 40 years. During that time, I have worked with not only Chief Womack, but other fire chiefs, other paramedics. Kip Franklin was one of them. And I cannot tell you the level of expertise that they bring to the profession. I've been picked up by Ruston Ambulance, and I was relieved to see them pick me up with a bone sticking out of my ankle. So I was very relieved to see them. I knew them, knew that they would take great care of me. Unfortunately, I've had the fire truck respond to a house fire at my house. Took excellent care of me. But that doesn't even matter. What matters is the citizens of Lincoln Parish. My constituents, District 12 elected me, but I personally take it to heart that I represent the entire parish. And I will do whatever it takes to make sure that your health care needs are met always. And that is why I won't and will vote for this proposal, because there is none other that can deliver what they offer. They just don't offer ambulance. They offer fire and rescue. A few weeks ago, unfortunately, I stood back and I watched. It was a fatality on the Tar Button overpass. They didn't know I was there. I made sure not to get in the way. But those men, they were there, Johnny in a spot. They worked with Pepper because they had to call in the helicopter. I'm telling you all, please, like Mr. Scriber said, take your personality, take your feelings, take that away and look at the entire big picture of from Shudron, Dubai, Grambling, everywhere in this parish to the four corners of it. And let's do what's right for our citizens, all of you. Thank you.
We didn't start this process properly. We should have said, meaning the committee and the jury, that Ruston Fire Department has decided after years they could no longer provide the service at the cost they were providing it. And guess what? They were right. By the same token, the police jury should have responded, but we don't have the money to support it because we collect no tax for ambulance and rescue. The public would have understood that, but then personalities got involved and it got to a whole new level. Now I'm going to do like Miss Annette said. I'm going to speak for the people who live out in the parish because I'm a rule juror. If I were to ask everybody in this room to stand up and say those that live within the city or 5 miles from the city limits, please stand, I'm almost positive there will be very few from way out there. It's only natural that startup services cost more. But let me give you a little background. Lincoln Parish people saw an increase in their fire insurance. You know why? Because the parish rating went down. So not only will the rural people be imposed a tax that they had nothing to do with, they have to take care of this increase in their fire. I think it's wrong for us to impose a tax on anybody for 5 years without giving them the authority to mitigate the negativity it's going to have on their pocketbooks. It's just wrong. Ruston is a wonderful fire department, but the rural people contribute a lot to Ruston. We are proud of Ruston. People in the rural areas have an increase in their insurance. Some of them have private insurance. Some of them are on Medicaid or Medicare. And they bring in all of their tax dollars to Ruston. We appreciate that. Without Ruston, we could not do it. But I think for the sake of the people living outside of the parish, they should be given some consideration as well, and at least provide time for them to understand, just like Ruston people had that $5 fee, that was well and good. Y'all did that beautifully. But we don't have such a privilege being out in the city. We don't know what it's going to cost. We don't know what it's going to add to our fire insurance. There's not enough information. We don't know where the money is coming from. And until we have a clear picture of how we're going to get that money, I don't think it's right to impose that upon them without them having a say-so. That's it.
Any other comments from any of the jurors?
I would say I'm not going to comment on the level of service that we're talking about. I've said a lot already, and those things are pretty simple. I'm not going to comment on the cost to the parish because those numbers speak for themselves. I want to talk about the cost to the patient portion of this. These numbers are from the United Way. 59% of the people in our parish are either below the federal poverty level or what is considered ALICE. ALICE is asset limited, income constrained, yet employed. Okay, those are people that are working, that are making too much money to be considered poor and be getting federal benefits and such, but don't have enough money to make ends meet. This report was released in early 2020, pre-COVID. It was 59% in 2020. I would venture to say that number has increased significantly with the amount of inflation and the cost of goods and services. The percentage that rent and food is in these lower budgets is significantly more. So if we have an option on the table that we have been promised, and it's explicit in their contract, that will not be billed directly to this 100%, but specifically to this 59% that is either below the federal poverty level or asset limited, income constrained, yet employed, then I think we should take the option that will be free to our constituents. If indeed the other option is they will have to be billed. Now, if they have Medicare, they're going to still be with Pafford. Okay, they have Medicare, yet they're still going to be responsible for their 20% of that bill. If they're uninsured at all, I mean, the rate is $1,500. So if we're talking about the federal poverty level for one person, I'm assuming it's around $20-something thousand. $1,500 is a significant portion of that annual income. So if we have two options on the table, I think we really need to, for our constituents, evaluate how we're representing our constituents. And if we have one that's free and one that's not, for our constituents, my wisdom says we should choose the free one. I wanted to talk about that, and I want to talk about the location of the ambulances. Central Fire Station, you all know, Ruston Central Fire Station is on the corner of East Georgia, right there at Highway 80 and Highway 33. There's multiple ambulances there, and there's typically one ambulance on that station, 3 on 167 headed north towards Vienna. I would like to think that those fire stations were strategically placed at the time that they were placed for response times. Even right now, looking back, if I had any place to choose for my constituents in District 5, for the entirety of my district, where I would choose that fire station would be right there at Highway 33 and Highway 80, essentially at I-20. Because my district, the lines just changed, but still goes all the way up to Highway 822 on Highway 33. used to go to the Union Parish line. That ambulance can get there straight up Highway 33. If they've got a bad car wreck in Tremont Bottom on Highway 80, that ambulance can get to Tremont Bottom just about as fast. Or it can get over there where Skip and I joined right there on Cook Road. It can get there. The ambulance on Highway 167 can be in Dubach in about 8 minutes. It can. Ms. White said, how are we going to pay for it? I think that's a good question. And I think we are elected to work together to figure that out. We're elected to work with our...
Together. Not in private groups, together.
Together.
Around the table.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we have to decide. I'm saying we can't say tonight we can't vote because we don't have a way to pay for it. Because on January the 2nd, these people need an ambulance. And if we say no, then they're not going to have an ambulance. We have two options for ambulances. And if we can't say no, because then we won't have an ambulance on January the 2nd. And that would be fine if you're inside the city limits, but that is not okay. I have eight voters in my district that are inside the city limits, and every other voter is not. And so we must make a decision on it's not do we pick an ambulance, it's which one do we choose here. We have to choose because it's not an option to not have ambulance service. We have a high quality of life in Lincoln Parish and it needs to stay that way.
Okay, any other comments?
I have comments.
Okay.
I'm one of the ones that voted no in July. And I was the one that came to the ambulance committee and asked for the ambulance committee to bring the city back to the table. Not knowingly that the city was gonna come back and say for a 5-year plan instead of a 1-year plan. After they had voted, after the councilman voted to give the $5 for the city residents, I felt like that they would have decreased their cost, but instead they increased it. And for that reason, I can't vote for the tonight. I just cannot vote to have the ambulance because I think that it was just extremely too much. And I feel like that and I've asked, I went to the mayor and I asked and he said no. I even talked to the chief. He specifically said that he wanted Lincoln Parish to be for the rescue. But if he wants Lincoln Parish to be for the rescue, why are you steady increasing the cost? I know that things go up, but I just feel like that it should have been reduced some because they went for 1 year. And how come we couldn't have gone again for 1 year? That's what Mr. Henderson did for amended. And I know that it did not go through. But I still feel like that to give our parish fire department a chance to try to start trying to get themselves equipped, that we should have a little time from year to year. I don't like to be locked in for 5 years. And instead of increasing. We don't know what it might end up being. And right now, we don't know exactly how we're going to pay for it.
We don't.
We should have
voted for the 1 year in
We know that
July.
we're going to be able to pay for 1 year.
We should have voted for it in July. We had the funding from the Federal Reserve Act for 1 year. We should have voted 1 year in July.
Well, we did.
Mr. Crawford, let her finish and then I'll let you talk.
That's all. Sorry. Nothing else to say.
You through? Are you? Maybe you through?
I'm done.
Okay. You want to comment?
No, sir.
Anybody else want to comment? Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll call for a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. All right, so just so I can clarify, the motion on the floor by Mr. Hunt, second by Mr. Cranford, is to accept the the ambulance committee recommendation for Ruston Ambulance Service. Okay. Ms. Wyatt?
No.
Hunter?
No.
Durrett?
No.
Cranford?
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes.
Scriber?
Yes.
Pullen?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Melton?
No.
Mayfield?
No.
Strader?
Yes.
Okay, 7-5, yes.
Okay. The next item is discuss and take action, if necessary, regarding the necessity of the ambulance service committee continuing in existence. And I would recommend that we disband the committee and thank Mr. Edwards for his service in the guidance of that committee.
Second.
Well, I can't.
You gonna make the motion?
I recommend it.
I'll make the motion.
I like the motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Budget report, Mr. Sutton.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Jurors, you have in front of you the budget to actual reports for all major funds for the month of September. General items that I'd like to bring to your attention when you had time to look through it, but the office supplies and expenses across multiple funds are, well, I say multiple funds, off of special road fund is going to need to be amended. It's been at $2,000 for well over a decade. Obviously, with the state of the economy, that needs to be amended. Across highway as well as solid waste, maintenance of equipment as well as vehicle supplies are going to need to be amended due to parts, fuel, things of that nature going up. And the only new item for this month in highway is asphalt materials. The cost of MC30 primer went from $3.46 a gallon to $5.10 a gallon per gallon. CRS2 asphalt went from $2.21 a gallon to $3.09 a gallon. So we'll definitely need to do an amendment there as well next or 2 months. Only other thing I want to mention, sales tax collected for prior month was $663,625.07. That's $663,625.07 versus $633,519.50 over the same month in 2021, which is an increase of 4.75%. And nothing further, Mr. President.
Any questions, comments, anybody? If not, with a motion, we approve the finance committee report.
So moved. Motion. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous. Department head reports.
Department head reports. Mr. Doss, Highway Department. No report. Okay. All right. Mr. Outley, Solid Waste. No report. Thank you. And it's hard for me to see who's here. Other department heads. Kip Franklin, Homeland Security.
My report tonight is to provide some clarification on the hazard mitigation funding that the parish received in 2020 following the Ruston tornado in 2019. And so just kind of giving y'all a timeline on that and where we stand now. Lincoln Parish was notified on August 18th of 2020 of the hazard mitigation grant award for the disaster of the Ruston Lincoln tornado on April the 25th, 2019. We received a letter from the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness that was dated August 17th, sent on behalf of Governor John Bell Edwards, that awarded Lincoln Parish the entire federal allocation for this disaster, which is very rarely done. The total federal allocation amounts to $2,952,908, with a 75-25% cost share that would bring the local share for this project, this is above the federal share, to $984,303. The letter strongly encouraged the parish to engage and work with the City of Ruston and Louisiana Tech University due to the significant amount of damages that were incurred by these two entities. The preliminary damage assessments that were turned in for a presidential declaration listed Ruston at $5.9 million, with Louisiana Tech at $5.2 million. These figures are used, and the only way we can get a presidential declaration is if we exceed the state's financial threshold, which at that time was $6.8 million. There was also additional damages, but this is just Tex and the city of Ruston that got us to where we're at, because otherwise we would not have received a presidential declaration. The letter stated that the current application period for that disaster expires September the 1st, 2020. This was just 12 days from the receipt of the letter that we had an application period was going to run out. The letter also mentions that GOSEP had requested a 90-day extension on Lincoln Parish's behalf. On August 18th, 2020, OSEP Director, myself, notified Police Jury President Joe Henderson and Administrator Doug Postel, advised by both to respond accordingly per GOSEP's recommendations for Ruston, Louisiana Tech University. August 21st, we had an initial meeting that was scheduled with Lincoln Parish, the City of Ruston, Louisiana Tech, and GOSEP to determine allowable projects and how best to allocate this funding. A decision was made to allow the City of Ruston to serve as the primary applicant on behalf of the parish. That decision was ratified by the police jury at a September 8th, 2020 regular meeting. On August 27th, y'all seeing all these timelines now, Hurricane Laura made landfall and entered Lincoln Parish as a Cat 1 hurricane. It kind of disrupted the planning process for HM funding, but the GOSEP extension request was approved by FEMA. On September the 1st, 2020, a letter from the City of Ruston was accepting responsibility as the primary applicant on behalf of the parish and advising that the city will fully sponsor the application process that was assisted by Hunt Gio and Associates on behalf of all participating entities, with the exception of Louisiana Tech University and Grambling State University. These are state agencies and are required to submit their own applications. The spreadsheet for participating applications shows the figures that were allocated for each of those entities that wanted to participate. All applicant projects have been submitted and are currently pending approval by FEMA. And as I've told many times over, the F in FEMA does not stand for fast. So the list of applicants, let me do this real quick. The list of applicants and their projects are the City of Ruston Public Works Operations Center. The federal share on that project's $750,000. The local share for that will be $250,000, and that's to harden that building in case another tornado comes through. Ruston has plans to put generators at different locations, buy some portables. City of Ruston Fire Department will get a generator that will run their entire facility. Lincoln Parish Police Jury has plans for generators at some of their, the solid waste facility, the highway department, and other locations, and hopefully pick up some more portable generators. Lincoln Parish School Board has put in a request. They want the generators to provide some of the cost at their schools to help out. Grambling State University has locations for generator projects, and as well as Louisiana Tech University. The village of Shudrant has opted in also. At that time, the town of Dubach opted out, and the city of Grambling opted out. So that's where I'm at. But one other thing, last thing, is that Hurricane Laura, when it came through, every single disaster brings public assistance dollars, which helps us put our stuff back together. And then following that, we always get hazard mitigation dollars if you declared an emergency, and which our parish did. So in 3 separate installments, Lincoln Parish has now also received $894,015 of federal funds from Hurricane Laura, which is at a 90-10% split. And so the parish, or whoever's cost share, total cost shares for local stuff will be $99,335 above the federal cost share. So, any questions?
Yeah, can I ask about?
I have. If I were to ask anybody in the community, in the congregation, what was he talking about? Would you know?
And if so, where the money being spent to?
This is the thing. This is what happened. I'm going to try to tell you in terms that you might understand a little better. Approximately 3 years ago, the police jury received $3 million.
That's not
That's
correct.
not true? How much?
That's not correct. We didn't
Not
receive
the money,
anything.
just the promise of the money. The prior administration took it upon themselves to channel the money toward Ruston Fire Department and Louisiana Tech Fire Department. They knew that the Parish Fire Department was inferior. So, because they worked for the parish, why didn't they try to put it into the fire department?
This money can't be used for those projects.
But you said it could be used for Ruston?
It can be used for allowable projects that FEMA allows, not just anything we pull out of the air. No, ma'am. It can't be used to build a fire station. It can't be used to pay for ambulance service.
This is my point. It was never directed toward me to say that our department is inferior. We might be able to use it. I didn't see where any effort was made by the administration to direct that money to the parish. It was directed to Ruston and Louisiana Tech. I had an issue with it, but it's the truth. You never, Kip Franklin said, let's try to use that money to improve Ruston Fire Department.
Kip.
You did.
Okay.
But you did, the Parish Fire Department.
We can't use it to promote.
But you tried to use it for Ruston Fire.
No, ma'am.
Kip,
Yes, you did.
Kip.
That was denied the day
Okay.
that we had our meeting with GOSEP.
Okay. Can I
It's okay.
change this?
It's okay.
Moving on. Can I ask about the status of the generators for these small municipalities on their water wells? You know, that's
Okay.
taking so long. What the status of that is?
Okay, what Mr. Dirk's asking about is different pool of
I
hazard
understand.
mitigation money that came out of Hurricane Gustav. This is the statewide generator project. The town of Simsboro is in the middle of their project. They're currently waiting on generators and will be waiting on till May or June of next year. Okay,
Next year?
Wesley Chapel Water System is in the same boat. They're in the middle of their projects. They're waiting on generators to come in for those projects.
So is this the problem is the delivery of the generators?
Yes.
I'm just
Yes.
curious about what the latest delivery date
A
is.
good example of that was in 2020 when Hurricane Laura hit. Greater Ward 1 residents had no water service. Their generators were supposed to be due to be delivered the week after the hurricane hit here. Those generators were not delivered till January of 2021, and when they were delivered with an outer shell covering, and they could not be tested or completely put online until all that was put in place.
I'm just curious what the latest delivery was, because I know it's taken a while.
That's the latest I've heard, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anything else for your report? Okay.
Kip, thank you. I appreciate it. I know the citizens appreciate the excellent job you do for our parish. Thank you very much. Mr. Pierce, is Maurice here, Sewer District? Do I have any other department heads? Stand up, I can't see you. Yeah. Marcy, I'm representative of the library.
Quick report, we do have a couple of big events coming up, well, one big event in particular. So if you're not doing anything this weekend, this side of the library, the event center side, will be packed, I hope, with a bunch of kids coming through to experience the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory event that we're putting on. It's our Fall Into a Book Fest. There'll be games, there'll be candy. We got some local authors joining us. I've got at least 4 confirmed, so that'll be a fun thing. I'm serious, y'all. If you have any volunteer hours to give me, I will take them. Any volunteer hours at all, I will take them. I will be able to eyeballs and candy decorations for the next 2 days. Just throwing that out there. Also, the library saw 11,434 people last month.
Wow.
I would like to point out that that was actually a 1,100 person increase from the month before, which is unusual for us at this time.
Wow.
So we are incredibly busy, rocking and rolling. Other than that, I think we're just the most wonderful library in the world.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I think that's all the, ready for me? All right, two things. Number one is at your place, I put a report from the Lsu Ag Center. They've asked me occasionally to give you, pass along their report. You'll see that. Ms. Kathy Judd is our new Ag Center director here in our Ruston office. Kathy, you want to stand up? What do they call it? Parish chair. Yeah, thank you for all you do. We appreciate it very much. Also, an update on our Health Hub property. Many of you have been following this. I did receive a word from Bill Carter, who is the attorney that's been working on our property acquisition. The offers that we made to the heirs of the Lewis property have accepted the offers that we've made. Michael was in the process of issuing those checks. Those should go out. That should complete the purchasing of that particular piece of property. We are the other parcel of property. We've completed the transactions on the third of the property that we have identified owners. The other portions of the property should be going to sheriff's sale within the next week or two. And that should wrap up all of the extra property there that we can identify the owners for. As far as the mental health property, I have tried for 2 weeks to contact the folks in Baton Rouge that I have numbers for unsuccessfully. And I'm going to ask for the jury's permission through Lewis to draft a letter to them using some of the legal leverage that we have through our deed agreements that were in place about that property not being used for mental health purposes, and see if we can get some response from them through a legal correspondence.
What about the other hospital?
Other hospital property has, other adjacent hospital property has been turned over to Durrett Law to run title on that property. Okay. That's all for that report.
Okay, travel.
Police Jury Association convention will be March 8th through the 10th of next year in Shreveport. We're asking that the jury please approve that travel so that we can go ahead and reserve a block of rooms in advance so that those are going to, because they're going to start filling up quickly.
Mr. Chair, I make that motion.
Motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
Second.
We got it. Go ahead.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And there are no other comments signed up for us, so the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. It passed, but not with a little bit of twinge, a little acrimonial banter here. We'll see what happens, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for getting involved. Shedding the light. Be the light, you flashlights and salt shakers. This is Rick Godey signing off. I'll be signing on tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. on KRLQ 94.1. I do 3-hour show Monday through Friday. Just got started. And then XM 102 from 9 till 10. So we'll build up those two resources to be more assisting to our communities here in North Louisiana. This is Rick Godey. We'll stream you later.